You know the scenario. You encounter someone who argues with absolute certainty, raises their voice to dominate the room, and doubles down even when their logic is visibly crumbling. We typically categorize this as a personality trait, attributing it to simple stubbornness, ego, or an arrogant disposition. Psychological science, however, suggests these behaviors often point toward a more specific origin. This outward aggression frequently serves as a behavioral indicator of extremely low intelligence. Low-McKeam exists independently of academic performance or formal schooling. It relates to the specific flaws in the mechanics of how a brain interprets and processes the world. For a brain with limited processing power, the complexity of reality feels like a constant threat. These rigid opinions and loud outbursts act as structural barriers, a subconscious defense system designed to shield a fragile ego from a world it cannot accurately map. This defense system begins with what we call the shield. Its objective is to filter reality, stripping away complexity until only a simplified, controllable version remains. This chart maps the Dunning-Kruger Effect. Notice the steep peak in confidence. A lack of information prevents the brain from measuring its own competence. They project total expertise, but beneath that projection, the logic is entirely hollow, a void of reasoning hidden by noise. This shield is reinforced by cognitive rigidity. When a mind reaches its processing limit, nuance and ambiguity become threats to mental stability. To maintain control, the low IQ mind forces every idea into a binary extreme. Complexity is discarded in favor of absolute categories, 100% right or 100% wrong. This reductionist view shrinks the universe into a small binary simulation. It allows them to feel certain in a world they have intentionally made smaller. If a new fact or perspective manages to pierce that initial shield, the mind activates the perimeter guard, aggressively rejecting any information that bypasses the first layer. In this state, the brain treats curiosity as a hostile threat. New knowledge is dangerous because it exposes what the individual does not understand. They respond by aggressively defending their ignorance. They reject unfamiliar ideas quickly, growing visibly restless when conversation moves beyond surface-level observations. This deficit explains why they struggle with opposing viewpoints. Reasoning through a debate requires high cognitive effort, a resource-intensive process that risks revealing their lack of expertise. Unable to meet the cognitive demands, they interpret disagreement as an attack. They end the discussion with insults because they lack the mental tools for logic. This aggressive posturing signals deep insecurity, a shortcut to bypass the strain of actual reasoning. When reality finally breaches every other defense, the deepest layer triggers, the alarm system, the volatile failsafe of a cornered mind. Defending a flawed argument consumes all cognitive resources, leaving no bandwidth to stay calm. The brain's executive control shatters into raw, reactive impulse. High intelligence provides the cognitive reserve to pause, observe a challenge, and choose a response. Without that reserve, the mind defaults to panic. To prevent this total collapse, the low IQ mind utilizes an external locus of control. This diagram shows the self-deflecting failure to outside nodes, like luck or society. By shifting the cause of every failure to someone or something else, they remove the need for self-reflection. If the fault is never theirs, they never face the discomfort of changing. This layered system, the shield, the guard, and the alarm, forms a psychological prison. It ensures the individual remains unadaptable and completely unaware of their own limitations. True intelligence functions on an entirely different set of principles. Rather than fearing uncertainty, a smart mind views doubt as a necessary tool for growth. Intellectual strength relies on the capacity for self-awareness and the willingness to discard a worldview when it is proven incorrect. Questioning your own rigid beliefs is an exhausting, uncomfortable process. Yet choosing to engage in that struggle is the primary indicator of high-level cognitive ability. If you can recognize your own capacity for ignorance, you have already moved past the architecture of the rigid mind. The moment you begin to question yourself is the moment true intelligence begins.